and everybody sang, we want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Enough jumps, the middle finger make my...
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this October 1st. Yes, that's right, the calendar.
Has changed again.
The never-ending calendar that is always turning and changing. It has changed once again to a new month, October 1st. I guess that means we're really officially into fall now, Bob.
Yeah. Well,
kind of rainy and dreary out there.
Yeah. It reminds me of something that happened many years ago, about 34 years ago exactly.
Oh, what was that?
Fair.
Oh.
This would be Fair Week starting this weekend.
Is that when it was? The
Yes.
Danbury Fair was this time of year?
Yes, it would be,
Wow.
because it would run 10 days right up to Columbus Day.
Excellent.
So it would start on this weekend.
Well, that is cool to think about that. It's
Yeah.
30-something years ago. Let's get rid of the mall and just bring back the fair.
Oh, I put the fair at the racetrack back.
Who needs the Danbury Mall?
It's just a brick place that can be
All
exploded.
right, so we've completely gotten sidetracked to start the show here tonight. Well, if you're interested in the mall or actually in the fair,
Yes.
you can check out Bob's show, Spotlight On.
Yeah, next
Very
week.
often he does historical look-backs
Yes.
at the fair days.
Yes, they will be
I'm
doing
sure
some.
one Dave King's music, Danbury Fair, is featured in some of those episodes.
Yes, there is.
So where were we? What was happening in the show?
Let's go back to what sports was.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm your host.
Down memory lane here.
All right, so we've said hello to Bob, kind
Yes.
of. How you doing there, Bob?
I'm good.
His show, Spotlight On, Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Mike Toohey running things in the control room. Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. I do believe the production assistant
Assistant is in
extraordinaire was last seen watching TV
Yeah,
in
but
the,
he's in the control room.
waiting room.
Yeah.
Is he in the control room?
Yeah, he's in the control
He's
room.
on the audio?
Yeah.
How do I sound?
Sound good.
All right, just checking. I heard we had some news about Jenna's audition.
Yes, she did. We got the call yesterday. She is going to be what I guess they call it a Mighty Mouse, which is defends the castle, I think, and the other one is she's going to be an angel.
Well, she already is an angel.
I
Bob.
know. But
So that is going to be a natural fit.
yeah.
Perfect. Congratulations to Jenna. That is wonderful news. We all knew she could get something done there in that audition.
Now comes the hard part, the work.
Yeah,
ahead.
do all the rehearsals and
Yes.
then performance. If she needs any tips, I'll tell her, when
Yeah.
the lights come on,
Yep. Well,
don't
she's
think
already
about
got
anybody
that.
out there in the audience.
She's at dance class right now, so.
Very good. All right, well, we're live, as I mentioned, till 7 o'clock, so that means the phone lines are open, 203-792-4101. We had a call last week from Uncle Buck. Maybe he'll check in again. Or maybe Strange Man, who finally resurfaced, although he didn't show up to the studio.
No, but I have seen him.
Bob saw him.
He is alive. He's,
Wandering the streets.
Yeah.
And then he called me yesterday.
Yeah.
He seemed all excited about the Boston Red Sox, at that point taking the first two against the Yankees.
Now
Was
they've
hoping they
taken
would take a
three.
third, which they did last night in extra innings, 11
innings.
at the stadium. And they're going for 4 tonight, keeping the Bronx Bummers' celebration of clinching a one-game wild card playoff.
Right.
Hurrah, on hold. 3 days and counting. Magic number down to 1, but they can't wrap that up. And maybe they won't be able to do it tonight either, unless
Depending
they could
on-
back in. I mean, Minnesota and
Yeah.
the Los Angeles Angels of California, Anaheim, wherever they're from,
Yeah,
they could
can they-
lose, and they could give the Yankees the backdoor entrance into that one-game wild card.
It's very possible.
But yes, the Boston Red Sox 9-5 and 11 last night, 5-1 the night before, or 10-4 the night before, and 5-1 in the series opener. Took the first 3 here. The Red Sox, formerly known as Team Blah Blah Blah, now known as the Killer Bees.
Yes.
And last night it was Mookie
Yeah.
getting it done. Betts,
He was banging the ball all over.
2 home runs.
Yeah.
He's followed up as Blake Swihart had 2 home runs the night before to power the Red Sox past the Yankees in that game too. And you want to know what their secret is, Bob?
What is it?
Giving away food to the homeless. Free pizza for everybody.
Oh.
Apparently Blake Swihart was eating some pizza, couldn't finish, so he gave a slice to the homeless, and Mookie did the same last night before the game Maybe Bogarts will do it, or Bradley Jr. will give away some pizza
maybe.
before the game, and they'll get 2 jacks tonight. We will have to wait and see.
I watched it. It was 5-5, and then it went to.
I was tracking the score. I couldn't watch. I was
went
out.
to 10th inning. Then we went to the 11th, and all of a sudden the Yankees just imploded.
Well, Betts first he got to Betances in the 7th.
Yeah.
What was Betances doing in the 7th inning? Isn't he your 8th inning setup guy, Joe Girardi?
Yeah.
Did anybody ask him that question after the game? Why is Betances in the 7th, giving up a game-tying home run at that point? And then in the 11th, Betts goes for a 2-run job to put them up. They tacked on 2 more, and they win it 9-5 going away. We'll see what they do tonight in that 4th game. How sweet would that be, sweeping them 4-game set
in the stadium?
So they're keeping the pressure on the Yankees. The Yankees' magic number is 1. They're 3 at the Orioles this weekend. I mean, chances are they're going to get in the playoffs at some point over the next 4 days.
Hopefully they get the games in.
Although there's a lot of rain,
especially
coming up the coast. D.C. is supposed to get a ton. Hurricane Joaquin on the move. So we'll see. That could really play havoc as they try to figure things out. Tanaka did not look sharp. He came back last night in his first start in 12 days, and he is most likely going to be the guy to take that ball in the 1-game playoff against whoever it's going to be, Houston, the Angels, or the Twinkies. Those 3 teams still battling it out for that wild card. Houston right now, a half game up. They're idle today, so they could either go even or a full game up on the Angels, depending on what the Angels do. The Angels finished with 4 at Texas, so that is a tough situation for them. Houston is at Arizona for their final 3, so a little bit easier for them. Former NL rival Arizona for Houston, so they're familiar with that stadium. And the Twins are a game and a half out of the wild card, still hanging around. Minnesota is, so we'll see what happens there, and see who gets it in. But the Yankees are going to have to go to Baltimore this weekend, and they could wrap it up tonight. We'll see what happens against the Red Sox.
But the weather's right now is perfect, so.
Yeah, no rain yet today. So. A little drizzle out there, but they should be able to play tonight, no problem. And we'll just see what happens. I mean, the Killer Bees, the young boys, the young BoSox, the Go-Go Sox, they're getting it done right now, and it's nice to see. Red Sox, at this point, won 10 of their last 13 series, Bob, which is nice, and they've moved into 3rd place, as a matter of fact. They leapfrogged Baltimore and Tampa. How about this, Bob? This is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
How bad is the American League? The Red Sox, with 4 games to play, sitting at 78 and 80, 2 games below 500, as bad as they have been all year long, are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
I know.
How is that even possible?
Just think, though, it's very possible that they could somehow
win the final 4 games. Everybody else loses. It's not going to happen, but it is amazing that it's
weirder
possible.
Things have happened.
Right.
So, especially with the Red Sox.
Stranger things. So the Angels, they had won 7 in a row. They lost last night. And Houston, moved back, leapfrogged. Houston actually had fallen behind by a half a game. They're back up. So, as you know, I'm rooting for Houston, the Astros, to get in because they've been there all year, the young team. The Angels can give the Yankees big problems. They've done it in the past, so that would be interesting to see them come here. And that's the other thing the Yankees have to worry about, holding on to the home field advantage at this point with all these losses down the stretch here. But I think they will maintain that and get in the playoffs and play one of those 3 teams. We'll see who it is. And Texas is going to be out there waiting as well. They'll be playing against Toronto, who did wrap up that division the other night at 92 and 66. They have clinched, and they have moved a game ahead of the Royals for the best record in the American League, Bob. So they have actually got home field as it stands right now. And we saw that shot right there of Joe Carter a second ago. First time the Jays clinched since that magic moment in the World Series when Joe Carter hit that game-winning, World Series-winning home run against the Wild Thing, Matt Williams, and the Philadelphia Phillies there in 1993. So the Jays are actually, they are primed and ready to go. Maybe they will hold on to the home field, as Kansas City really has not played well down the stretch. And then Texas is going to be the other team. led by two former Red Sox. Napoli, who they traded away this year, back to Texas. He was there when they went to the World Series previously. And Adrian Beltre still getting it done, as they had shipped him out a few years ago, and he's still a prime player for them. So Texas looks real good as they have raced out to the lead in the NL West. So that's pretty much the American League picture. In the National League, your Mets wrapped it up, Bob. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
How you feel about that?
Oh, I'm ecstatic.
Looking
Hey,
good.
let's put it this way. I'm always ecstatic. If the Mets are in first place the first week of the season, I'm ecstatic.
And here it is,
But
the
now
last week of the
but
season. They have clinched the division at 89 and 69. Actually, they lost today, so 89 and 70. And the Dodgers, who they will be playing next week on Friday, that series opens on the 9th. The Dodgers won today, moving to 89 and 70. So with 3 games left, and there we see some nice vintage footage of 1988 as the Dodgers and Mets were getting ready to rumble.
That was a year of
worst season ever, ending at least for the Mets as they fell. Oral Hershiser on that record run of scoreless innings pitched. And he got it done in that Game 7. Mets couldn't believe it. They were not going back to the World Series. They thought they had the best team. You know, they won it in '86. They had that great team for a few years. They should have got more. They should have made it back to the World Series at least, if not win another one. They could not do it. And there we see Kirk Gibson. His legend was about to grow as he would go on to the World Series and hit
was running around the bases,
one of the best home runs ever against the Bash brothers in San Francisco and the Oakland A's in that World Series on one leg, pinch hit home run. I do not believe what I just saw, the magical call, and that was unbelievable. So 1988 was the last time. Also reminded me of the movie The Bad Lieutenant. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a very long time, but I do remember it.
Early 90s movie. The backdrop of that whole movie was that the Bad Lieutenant was gambling on a playoff series between the Mets and the Dodgers.
Yes.
And remember, Chris Mad Dog Russo's voice played prominent as they had numerous scenes where he would be in the car listening to Mike and the Mad Dog, although Mike's voice never made it into the movie, I don't believe. Mad Dog did. They used him as a running commentary throughout that movie, which was interesting. So I think of that as well when I think of Dodgers and Mets rekindling some playoff glory. So that's going to be interesting next week. But who will have home field advantage? As the Mets had a 2-game lead on the Dodgers a few days ago, stumbled a little bit this week, losing to the Phillies today 3-0. And the Dodgers, who clinched last night, beat the Giants again today 3-2. Giants defending champs out as they go every other year once again with their last 3 out of the last 5, now 3 out of the last 6 as they do not make it back to defend their title. So the Dodgers are home against the Padres this weekend, and your Mets are home against the Fighting Nationals.
The explosive Nationals who players that want to beat each other up in the
Nationals who could have used some fight on the field in the past couple of months.
Not in the dugout.
Not in the dugout as it was this past week. Former Red Sox Jonathan Papelbon taking it to what everybody says is going to be the MVP, Bryce Harper. In the dugout.
And they were at each other's, literally at each other's throats.
Bryce Harper said at the beginning of the season, "Where's my ring?"
Yeah.
Papelbon had the chokehold on him, put a ring around his neck. Papelbon of the crazy eyes. He was not having it as he was all over Bryce Harper in the dugout. And amazingly enough, his manager then sent Papelbon back out onto the field to pitch in the 9th inning after a Donnybrook. Unbelievable. While Bryce Harper did not go out to the field, he went into the clubhouse
for medical
shaken and stirred as Papelbon took him out. Papelbon as Red Sox fans. Oh, how did that picture get in there?
What picture is that?
Papelbon celebrating the sweep of the Rockies in the World Series in 2007 as he closed it out. How did those pictures get in there?
Those must have just magically got...
What happened? 2007? Who's got those pictures in?
I don't know. Must be somebody who's a diehard Red Sox fan.
So maybe I hear all these people down in D.C. complaining about Papelbon. Why'd they bring him in? He's a loose cannon. Ask the people in Boston. They'll tell you he's nuts. People in Boston will tell you he won them a World Series.
Yes.
That's what they'll tell him. 23 innings of scoreless relief in his playoff run during those years in Boston. Maybe the Nationals couldn't handle his intensity, as Bryce Harper called him out last week when he beamed somebody on I believe it was the Phillies, Machado, right? And Harper said, that's a clown move, bro. Maybe he asked him a clown question, bro, as what
said,
Harper once said to a reporter. That's a clown question, bro. You're the clown show, bro. As your team and you claiming you want rings are not going to be in the playoffs this year. You couldn't handle the intensity of Papelbon, and this is what happens. You get taken out. So interesting stuff. But the Nationals are going to have something to say about what happens here in the postseason for you and your Mets. Don't let them mess you up. You got to get this win and maintain home field against the Dodgers in the best out of 5 next week. We'll preview that a little bit more as that series I mentioned starts on Friday. We'll be here live next Thursday.
Mr. Papelbon is suspended until...
Well, he's out. They did suspend him. We'll see if he comes back next year. I doubt he'll be in a Nationals. And there we go with that picture again. Nice job, Mike.
What?
Crazy Eyes Papelbon celebrating that World Series in 2007. All right, the Cardinals clinched best record in the National League and in all of baseball, 100 wins and 59 losses. Pretty impressive as they win the division again. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. This was, speaking of Strange Man, stat of the week.
Yes.
How about that, Bob? Dodgers clinched the division for the 3rd straight year. First time ever the Dodgers won the division 3 years in a row. With some of their great teams in the past, I would have thought they would have done that before. Not so. First time ever. But can they get through your Mets and back to the World Series, a place they haven't been in quite some time?
3,000-mile journey for...
Yeah, back and forth, East Coast to West Coast. Pirates and Cubs will play that one-game playoff. It does look like the Buccos will host. And there you see John Lester, former Red Sox. He will not get to pitch in that game. He's only going to get to pitch in the postseason if they win that game, because Arrieta is clearly going to be the choice, as he has been lights out. Pirates are going to have to deal with that. How about that as your reward, Bob, for having the second best record in all of baseball, 96-63 right now as it stands. They could end up with 100 wins themselves.
Yes.
And they're going to have to play a one-game playoff against the Cubs to advance into the division series. And they're going to have to go against probably the Cy Young Award winner. He's going to be at least a second in line, Arrieta, who's been outstanding. So we'll see what happens, and we will preview all that next week. Actually, those wild card games will be done, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday, so we'll know by the time we have a show next week. All right, a couple of things before we get to football. I did want to make mention of golf. Jordan Spieth wrapped it up in style. Jason Day had really been lights out in recent weeks, and I thought he was going to win that FedEx Trophy. But when it all counted and everything was on the line, Spieth won it going away. Clearly your player of the year. $22 million in earnings this year, Bob. How about that? Unbelievable. His caddy made more money than Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods this year.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's an unbelievable stat.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So that was an interesting thing worth mentioning. The chase for the NASCAR is coming down. Interesting news. Tony Stewart decided he's retiring this week. We'll get a little more into that in upcoming weeks. I did want to mention that the NHL preseason is underway. Just so we could look at a picture of the Rangers playing the Bruins.
Yes, that's
all we got to say about that. Yeah. All right, let's get into some football. College first. College. UConn lost again, back-to-back weeks. They now fall to 2-2. We know they had that a tough loss against Missouri the week before. This one was not as close, 28-18, and UConn scored late, so it really wasn't even that close. They fall to 2-2, 0-1 in the division. They play this weekend their final non-conference game, Friday Night Lights, on ESPN2, 10:15 Friday night at BYU, who has had a pretty interesting season. The first 2 weeks they had miracle victories. Hail Marys against Nebraska and Boise State. They lost a tough one, 24-23 at UCLA in week 3, and then they got throttled by Michigan 31-0 this weekend. So they are 2-2, looking to recover.
How are your CSUs doing?
CSU had a very nice win this weekend. They held on. What was the final score in that game? 33-31 against the University of Texas San Antonio. So they did recover after those 2 brutal overtime losses. So nice to see them get back to 2-2. I really did not check out much college football. You know, some weekends on Saturdays you just like to get away, do something nice, enjoy the nature, perhaps get out, and not get bogged down with any sports or football. So I did that this weekend, was not really paying much attention to college. I don't know if I missed anything. I did check some of the scores later, and I do have the top 5 right here in the rankings. Ohio State, Michigan State, Ole Miss, TCU, and Baylor are the top 5. And then some big games coming up this weekend. Number 23, West Virginia at number 15, Oklahoma. We know Oklahoma always loses a game at some point. Maybe this will be the one for them. How about this, Bob? Alabama, the underdog this weekend. First time in who knows when. Number 13, Bama at Georgia, who is ranked number 8. That's an interesting game. Ole Miss, number 3, I mentioned. They are at Florida and Colorado State's old coach, Jim McElwain. He's number 25 right now with the Gators. Sorry, Coach, you left us high and dry. I'm rooting for Ole Miss in that game. No love lost there. You totally dissed us big time. I do appreciate he did get the program back on track.
Right.
But I did not like the way he totally dissed us last year and just took off for the money. Mississippi State, number 21, against Texas A&M, number 14. And here's another big game. Notre Dame, number 6, still surviving without their quarterback, at Clemson, number 12. I wonder if my niece will be at that game, as she is a Clemson, actually attending Clemson University these days. So she goes to a lot of those games, as does my dad. So they might be at that game checking out Notre Dame. That's interesting. They probably don't know when the last time Notre Dame traveled to Clemson, but they are part of the ACC in football now only, right? Or is it just in the other sports?
No,
they're still independent in football, but they're part of it in the other sports, so that they end up playing some of the ACC teams. And that's that. NFL, Bob, you got to be happy about your G-men.
But still, we got a few.
New York Football Giants.
Yes.
Getting a win last week, 32-21 against the Redskins on Thursday night.
Yeah.
They took care of business there.
Goals, but they still got the job done.
They did give up a bunch of points in the fourth quarter, but they overall this was a solid win for them. They got it done. Personally, I hate the short week. Leads to terrible games. Redskins sure looked sloppy. Blocked punts, turnovers all over the place. Their defense had played really well before that game, but they weren't ready to play the Giants. The G-men on Thursday night. How about this, Bob? Now you got to shuffle off to see Sexy Rexy and those Buffalo Bills who throttled the Dolphins.
Those rematch of days gone by of some, especially a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, right. Wide right, Scott Norwood missed it, and the Giants rumbled to victory. And one of the great Super Bowls of all time, really. So the Bills at 2-1. How about that? 41-14 down in Miami. They crushed the Dolphins after bouncing back from that loss to the Patriots. Jets got their first loss as the Eagles got their first win, 24-17. Eagles were trying to give away this game late as they seemed to fall asleep in the second half after they raced out to the early lead. And the Jets, if I'm not mistaken, the game time is 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, so that can mean only one thing, Bob.
They were
London calling. Come in, Tokyo. Where's the game? In London. Jets at Dolphins. Hold on a second. The Dolphins aren't playing a game at 9:30 in the morning, so a home game for the Dolphins is taking place in London, Wembley Stadium. So the Jets at 2-1 face the Dolphins at 1-2. And Dolphins not looking good.
I don't know if I'll still be awake.
9:30 a.m. I drink some coffee, have some donuts, wake up to football. That'll actually be pretty good. CBS has that. And the Patriots, how about this, Bob?
How the
I mean, you knew they would beat the Jaguars, but did you know that they would go 9 for 9 and possessions scoring. They scored on every possession. 51-17 rout. Newsflash. Get ready for this, NFL. The Patriots don't care about you. They don't care about your mama. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about your grandchildren. They don't care about. They are going to try and destroy everyone in the league this year, taking no prisoners. Don't let them solve your problems, because they're going to just take it to you. And they get a bye week this week, and then it's the Cowboys, who lost this weekend, crumbling late to the Falcons, the Dirty Birds, who are 3-0. And then they'll get that game against the Colts, and they're going to try to score more than 51 in that game. I can tell you that much, Bob. All right, quick run through the league as we are running out of time. Cowboys, I mentioned, lost late, 39-28. Falcons go to 3-0. Cowboys 2-1. Colts rallied. I was hoping they would continue to lose. They tried to lose this game to the Titans, but they could not. 35-33. Titans really played well in that game. Disappointing that they lost. Bengals 3-0 as they bite back late against the Ravens, who are still winless, and they play tonight against the Steelers, who are dealing without Big Ben. Michael Vick,
who's hurt,
is back in a starting situation for Pittsburgh as he takes over for Big Ben, who got hurt in that loss, or in that win, 12-6 over the Rams. Panthers remain 3-0 as they prowl at 27-22 win against the winless Saints. How about that? Vikings pillaged those Chargers. 2-1 the Vikings are. Interesting to see their Chargers not looking good. 31-14 loss. I know somebody who was at that game. I know somebody who was also at the Packers game Monday night as well, watching them beat the Chiefs 38-28. Packers 3-0. Broncos remain 3-0 as they rumbled 24-12 to the winless Lions. Seahawks got their first win of the season, 1-2 against the Bears. Cardinals also still flying high, 47-7 against the Niners, Bob. 3-0. Some big games this weekend. Ravens, Steelers tonight, but Eagles at Redskins. That's big for your division. The Raiders, Bob, 2-1. At the winless, the Bears. Unbelievable. Raiders, where are they coming from at 2-1? Chiefs at Bengals. Chiefs trying to right their ship. Tough schedule for the Chefs coming out of the gate. Vikings at Broncos. Maybe the Vikings, playing well, can get the Broncos to suffer their first loss of the season. Cowboys at Saints. Sunday night, 8:30. I think Drew Brees is saying he's going to play this weekend. We know Tony Romo remains out for an extended period of time. Speaking of time
to wave bye-bye.
I think we're out of here. We will be back live next week. Phone lines will be open again. No calls this week. That's all right. We know you like to hear us ramble on and talk. Maybe next week we'll get you back. Maybe we'll get Strange Ben in here since he's resurfacing slowly.
He'll be back from a vacation.
And yes, I'm sure he'll be excited to talk about the Mets on the verge of a playoff series, home or away. We will find out.
Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.
See you next week. Yeah.